Okay, good deal. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's meeting and call the meeting for the Tuesday, May the 12th to order, the Board of County Commissioners to order. I'd like to start with asking Commissioner Harvey if he would do our invocation, and Commissioner Pickens if he would lead us in the pledge. Commissioner Harvey.
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for the challenges and the excitement of what holds in our future today, Father. We ask that you govern our thoughts and our minds today as we prepare for this meeting, as we prepared for it, and as we go into it. We ask a special blessing on our chairman today, who leads us through this meeting today. Father, that you will just be with him and give him grace and mercy and wisdom on how to handle things. Father, we thank you for all the hardworking staff in our county that has strived to protect our citizens today, Father. And Lord, we just give you all the praise, honor, and glory for everything you do. And Father, we thank you so much that we're able to serve not only you, but our citizens. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Harvey, and thank you, Commissioner Pickens. The chair will entertain a motion for the minutes on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes that are posted on the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Pickens to approve the minutes on the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Need to try to turn my volume up some. Jacob, how do I turn the volume up on this? I can't hardly hear. While we're working on that, I'm going to go ahead and move into the Port Authority. I'm going to, excuse me just a second. Yeah, if you could, I can't hardly hear what anybody's saying through the earbuds.
I'll borrow this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not showing their video to us.
I got it now.
I can do that, but I don't.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it should be, yes. Okay, thank you. I'm going to recess the Board of County Commissioners meeting and convene the Port Authority meeting at this time, and the chair will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes listed on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the minutes listed on the agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to approve the minutes on the agenda. Is there any further additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Did we receive any public comment on Port Authority items? Laura?
No, sir. None for Port Authority.
Okay, thank you. Under general discussion, I'm going to ask that Sheriff DeLoach, Sheriff DeLoach approached me and I agreed with what he's fixing to say, and I'm going to turn this over to him and let him make a presentation to the board. If I can get this thing to work. You should be ready, Gator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you're all aware, the Port Authority is the entity that owns all the county buildings. And I'm sure everyone probably saw where Mr. Jerry Beanball finally succumbed to a very long and courageous battle with cancer. Mr. Beanball, for those of you who weren't aware, was a state trooper who served not only here, but across the state for many years. And after his retirement, bought Bruner's Building Supply and worked as a general contractor here in Putnam County. During that time, Mr. Beanball actually donated a significant portion of his time during the construction phase of our fleet maintenance building. And to the extent that he actually paid for the building permit out of his own pocket and then provided his labor free of charge and all of the materials that were used in the construction of the fleet maintenance building here at the sheriff's office at cost. So it's my recommendation to the board that in his memory, we rename the fleet maintenance building the Jerry Bedenbaugh Fleet Maintenance and Uniform Supply Building.
Okay, and thank you for that, Gator. And like I said, when he brought this to me yesterday, I totally agreed, and this commissioner is absolutely on board with it. But I'd like to hear other commissioners' discussions about it.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Sheriff Deloach, for that. Mr. Bedenbaugh was a wonderful man, and I've known the family since days of back of the young boy at the Horsemen's Club together. What a fine individual him and his family were. I support wholeheartedly, Sheriff Deloach, what you're saying. We did have a conflict a couple of years ago on a previous board about naming county buildings, but I have no problem with this. As long as it's okay with our attorney, I'm all for it, and I'm ready to go forward on that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Goddard, did you want to speak?
Well, I was going to pretty much the same thing as he said. Mr. Jerry was a pillar of our community. I mean, it's hard to find a finer man than Mr. Jerry was, and the things that he did, those are just some of the things that we know of. He did a lot of things behind the scenes that people just don't know about. He was a great man, and I'm all for this. Do you need this in a motion?
Yes, sir. We do need it in a motion.
Then I'd like to make the motion. I'll make the motion that we name the fleet maintenance building in memory of Mr. Jerry Bedenbaugh.
I'll second.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Goddard and a second by Commissioner Rawls to rename the building at the Sheriff's Department the Jerry Bedenbaugh Fleet Maintenance Facility. Is that correct, Gator?
Yes, sir. It would be the Jerry Bedenbaugh Fleet Maintenance and Uniform Supply Building.
Okay, and that was your motion, Commissioner Goddard?
Yes.
And your second, Commissioner Rawls?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. I think it was the proper thing to do.
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I tried to get a word in there, but I mean, a hand in there. I'm sorry, I didn't speak up. I do look forward. Mr. Jerry did not get the proper, a lot of people in this community have gotten the proper send off, if you will. And I would like in the future that we could bring the family out and honor that memory when the building gets named.
I think that's a very good suggestion, and I'm sure Sheriff Deloach will do everything in his power to put together a ceremony when the proper time is right.
Yes, that's my desire as well, Chairman Turner and Commissioner Harvey. As soon as we're through this COVID-19 crisis and well through some of the following phases of the recovery effort, it is my desire and intention to plan a ceremony here at the Sheriff's Office and invite the Bedenbaugh family and members of the community at large out as well to dedicate the building in his memory.
Okay, is there any more business to come before the Port Authority this morning?
I do have something.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
I received a letter that was also sent to Matt Reynolds. I'm assuming everybody else got it, from Steve Gannett with the St. John Shipbuilders requesting help on either forbearance of rent or forgiveness of. He's looking for some help. The Port Authority in New York, apparently, the contract that he had with the people out there to build those fast ferry boats has stopped all progress on those boats, and he's looking for some sort of help. In the letter, he indicated that one of the options was purchasing the building. So I don't know if that means that he could buy it. He thinks he can buy it and get a better rate from a bank, or maybe stretching terms out would do that. But I didn't know if we could bring this up now or have a discussion about it, put on an agenda for later.
Commissioner Rawls, I also got the email. I see you, Julie. Give me just a second. I also got the email, and it wasn't sent to General Services Director, or was it sent to the county administrator? It was sent to the deputy administrator and the 5 commissioners. I don't feel like that's the proper way to ask for what he's wanting to ask for. So I think that he's going to have to generate this through the proper chain, which will be General Services and the county administrator. You Miss Young, you're muted.
Yes, sir. As soon as I got wind of the letter that was circulating, I did not see it, but I did reach out to Mr. Gano several times, and I have heard back from him this morning, and we've set up a call. He states he'd like to outline his request and future options for the facility. So I will be speaking with him today, and then we'll report back to the board.
Okay, thank you. And that should start the ball rolling on discussions, Commissioner Rawls.
Yep.
Okay, is there
Mr.
any
Chairman?
further? Yes, sir.
Commissioner, I think, taking that route, the proper channels is the way to start, and probably for them to, make some type of contact and see what exactly, his options, what he's asking us to do, and then take it back to a workshop where we can discuss it. That's where I think it needs to go.
I agree.
I also agree. And so that's where I think it'll probably go from here is exactly there, Commissioner Pickens.
Chairman Turner?
Yes, sir, Commissioner Harvey.
And in light of transparency, the reason I got an email from a gentleman, a friend of mine who runs a shipyard, who actually started the process, and he asked me if he could rent the building and stuff since the other company has vacated, and I sent it to Julianne, and she was kind of flabbergasted at the thought of that and hadn't heard anything about it. So that kind of started that ball rolling. But I agree, a workshop is where this needs to go, and anything we can do to help our local businesses stay in business, I want to be about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. And so if with the permission of all the commissioners, we'll turn this over to General Services Director and let her pursue the avenue with the renter and see where we need to go or what we can do to help or what exactly the request is. And so is there any more items to come before the Port Authority this morning?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
In light of what's going on with this COVID-19 situation, and especially in light of the fact that he's on hold with his contract, I think it'd be prudent if we try to get this on our next meeting date 2 weeks from now during the workshop, whether it's a transportation workshop or a regular workshop, just bring it up then as an item during the workshop.
I don't disagree with you at all, Commissioner Rawls, and I'm sure that Ms. Young, if she deems it to be to a point where it comes to us by then, we'll be more than happy to get it there. But it all depends on what General Services recommends back to me. That's this commissioner speaking. I think that we need to rely on the people that we put in charge to handle this and go through proper channels.
I think 2 weeks is plenty of time. That at the rate things are moving right now with our economy, last thing we need to do is cause a business to stumble. So
I don't disagree with you all. I don't disagree with you at all, sir. So hopefully we can get it done by then, but it doesn't just depend on our side. It depends on their side too. It's my understanding that our General Services Director has been trying to contact these people for several weeks at best. And so, or a couple of weeks at best. And if that's the way it is and she's having trouble and this is going to be a one-sided discussion, then it's not going to be ready to come back to the board by then. So it's going to take both sides participating to get it to that point. So is there any further business to come before the Port Authority this morning? Hearing none, I'll adjourn the Port Authority and reconvene the Board of County Commission meeting. And we'll move on to item 4A, presentations. Ms. Lynch with the Small Business Development Center. Ms. Lynch.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's staying safe and doing well. Our first quarter impact report for Putnam County was distributed. All the information is there. I do have an update since the bridge loan has closed. There were 10 bridge loans that were given out in Putnam County for a total of $475,000, and it was 5% of the total bridge loans given out for our 18 county region. So there's a little bit of tidbit of information for you there. The UNF SBDC office is closed for in-person meetings. However, we are conducting meetings by telephone and by Zoom. So anybody that needs assistance, we are still here to help. We are getting ready to launch a few more webinars and distributing a lot more information for businesses on what to do pertaining to the economic injury disaster loan, in addition to the Paychex Protection Program loan, the PPP that's out there. We're going to be rolling out services to help people apply for the forgiveness of that, so they can rest assured that their business won't have to pay those funds back as long as they're being paid correctly. So if anybody needs any assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help. We did receive additional funds under the CARES Act, and we are bringing on additional services and consultants that will be distributed throughout our 18 county regions. So there'll be additional help and additional specialized professionals to help individual businesses in moving forward during this epidemic that we've got going on. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have a question, but I do. I went to get a haircut last night, and my hairdresser did not know that she could qualify for the federal funds that are available to her. I came back and printed it off and posted it on her door. I haven't had a chance to talk to Dana about it either, Cheryl, but it might be an avenue. It seems like those were the calls I was getting when the governor's order shut down businesses. So it might be an avenue that y'all can reach out to these hairdressers and barbers and let them know that they do qualify. They might not qualify for unemployment under the state, but they do under the PUA with the federal government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Are there any more questions of Ms. Lynch?
I just like to make a comment.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
So just crunching the numbers quickly, we got almost an equal share of the 18 counties, it sounds like, if we were at 5%, which I think it is astounding. I was really surprised to hear is that high, but the PPP program, Cheryl, has the second round finished, or is there still an opportunity for business to apply for that, or are they wasting their time? Because I know with the first round, when I spoke to one bank, they said they should have shut it down day one because all the monies were expended at that first day. So can you talk about that in regards to whether or not people should pursue that?
Sure. So a lot of the folks, if you went through the big banks, the Chases, the Bank of Americas, the Wells Fargo, you'll be stuck in la la land. There are additional monies that were set aside for the smaller businesses and the rural communities. If you go through Square, they're processing within 72 hours.
Wow.
There's another avenue called Blue Vine. There's another avenue called Harvest. So these smaller CDCs or unconventional lenders, even QuickBooks is doing the PPP program for small businesses as well. They have specific set aside funding, and we've come to notice that a lot of our clients that went to the normal banking route, if they did another application through these avenues, they have been receiving those funds through those secondary avenues. So we haven't heard word that the money has been all expended. I do know for the economic injury disaster loan, the federal money, they aren't taking any more applications unless it's an agricultural business, because they have opened the doors for ag businesses to be able to apply for the EIDL loan. So that avenue is basically closed until they can get caught up. But the PPP program, there are still funds available. If you're not getting anywhere with your bank, by all means, give me a holler, send me an email, shoot me a text, and I will give you additional resources that you can potentially apply to.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Rawls.
Would it be possible for us to put just a brief narrative on our website and have the POIs put this out as well, that especially for the agricultural folks, that there might be EIDL money available, and maybe nail down some of these Square and QuickBooks, some of those folks that might have resources available for the smaller vendors in our county? Because I know at one point when I talked to my bank, they said they were able to get 20 loans done on the PPP before it was closed out. So I got a feeling there's a lot of business out there that is struggling that could use the help.
I don't see any harm in that at all unless the commissioners by consent would anyone minds. You okay with it, Commissioner Pickens?
I'm good.
Good.
All right. Yep. If Mr. Suggs, if you would try to make sure that we get that information placed on the county's website, and perhaps our PIO team could do a release, a small release on it on our Facebook webpage or our Facebook page also. And then maybe we could help get the word out. Thank you, Ms. Lynch. We appreciate you coming and giving your report this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Well, next we're going to move into public comment, and I'm going to make sure that Laura Parsons, are you back on with us, Laura? Okay, I see you now. Okay. So
You got
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman.
who wave your hand, whoever asked for me,
You
Commissioner
have
Harvey.
item B, you have to, Don Peckham.
Oh yeah, better not skip Don. I see his smiling face over there. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. I'm surprised he didn't break in the door over here and say, Mr. Chairman, now you forgot me. Welcome to the meeting this morning, Don, and I'll turn item 4B over to you, sir.
Morning, everybody. As part of our participation in the community rating system, one of our requirements is to provide a floodplain management plan annual progress report, which I've submitted the copies to you folks, and I've also submitted them to FEMA as part of our recertification, which we have to do every year. So that's been done. We're going to make this report available on the county website as well, so that the citizens can see it. We had a quiet hurricane season last year, other than near miss by Dorian, but there's not a whole lot new. We're continuing with our project with the LMS, and beyond that, it was pretty uneventful year. Next year, we're going to be receiving our 5-year visit from FEMA, so they'll actually be here next year when we recertify. Is there any questions?
Is there any questions of Mr. Peckham at this time? Okay, it looks like we're all good. John, do you need, or excuse me, Don, do you need a motion or something, or was that just a report as part of the procedure?
It's part of the procedure. We're required to present it to the board every year and to the media. So this covers both of those requirements.
Okay, well, thank you for attending this morning, and we appreciate your hard work on this matter.
Okay.
Next item on the list, we're going to try to move back into public comment if I haven't missed something else. And we have, I think, one item on public comment that someone wanted us to read an email. Is that correct, Laura?
I have Kate Adornetto from St. John's River State College. She might be in the waiting room. I did send her the link.
What is the name? You got her in there?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
if Kate wants to speak, she probably wants to speak on a consent agenda on the Viking run, I would imagine.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, and it hadn't been pulled yet, but I think she just wanted to be included in this portion of the meeting where we're going to go into the consent agenda. So do you have her in the meeting now, Jacob? All right. Well, we're going to move into the consent agenda, and I think we had so Kate, are you with us? No, she's connecting right now. Let me get her, make sure she's connected. Okay, well, we're going to move forward with this. Kate, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure you had joined us. And we're at the portion of our agenda. This is Chairman Turner, and I just wanted to let you know we're at the portion of our public comment, and you had sent in that you wanted to possibly make some comment on an item on our agenda today. Would you like to do that now, or would you like to see if that agenda item is pulled? Because I feel certain you're in favor of that agenda item.
Yes, I am.
Okay. With that, that was the only request we had for public comment at this time. And we're going to move into the consent agenda and ask, is there any items that the commissioners would like to pull today, starting with Commissioner Pickens?
I have none.
Commissioner Goddard?
Yes, I want to pull C for discussion.
All right, Commissioner Harvey?
Chairman Turner, I'd like to pull C, but Commissioner Goddard did that. And I don't want to pull D, but I want to talk about it later on. You know what? Let me pull item D, sir. Thank you.
D?
D is in dog. Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls?
Mine already pulled.
Okay, thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to pass the rest of the consent agenda other than items C and D.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item A, B, E, F, G, and H.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to approve the consent agenda other than items C and D. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it and motion carries unanimously. And we'll go to item C. Commissioner Goddard, you pulled it will you get to talk about it first, sir?
Well, I know that we were supposed to be whittling this thing down. What are we doing to try and get these collections more under control?
Well, it's my understanding, and it's probably not fair to get Colonel Trox in the middle of this with it being his first meeting like it is, but you know, I think Julianne, can you talk to this? It doesn't really come under general services; it comes under a different head. But
Ms. Frank should talk under this.
Okay, good. Susan's waving at me. Let me unmute you, Susan, and good. Looks like you're going to have to unmute yourself on your end, Susan. Not yet.
How about now?
There you go. Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so let me give you some of the history and background with this. Years ago, back in 2009, when the water system first became active and we got all the grants to hook up people, at that time, the county went out and tried to get people to hook up. And these accounts that we're writing off today are mostly all those people who committed to hook up, but then did not hook up. And one of the reasons why I did the spreadsheet the way I did is because I wanted you to see that we were billing these people a base bill of about $27 a month. And over 90% of this balance is nothing but late fees that were charged because the people didn't pay, they never hooked up, they never actually used any water. So even though they were charged the base bill, the water consumption on these was nothing. So what's happened is now that the sewer system's in place and we're having turnover and that some of the properties are being sold, newer people coming in want to hook up to the system, but they don't want to inherit these large $13,000, $14,000 balances. So as some of these have turned over in the past, we got approval to write them off and get them hooked up. What this does is it cleans up all of these old balances. And you can see from the report that most all of these started back in 2009. A few of these were hooked up in 2010. The other thing I want to emphasize to you is that we've already got an allowance on the books for most all of this. As an accounting rule, when we look at uncollectibles every year, we've been basically writing these off or setting an allowance on the books for these balances every year. So currently the allowance is at $610,000. So the net effect of writing this off is not going to hit the P&L significantly for this year. Does that help?
Is there any further questions, Commissioner Goddard?
Well, it's so, and that's what I thought. This is just a phantom number, but it looks pretty bad when you look at it and you see that number. It looks like we're, you know, over $500,000 in the debt on the water treatment. And when you're trying to tell people how good this thing is and that we're getting it under control, that number doesn't look good. I understand that it was a phantom number, but it still doesn't look good. Going on in the future, that number will be a real number, I'm supposing.
Well, you're always going to have to look at uncollectible accounts. You know, the department itself, every year we ask the question, you know, and you're always going to have, unfortunately, those people that use the water and then for whatever reason they stop paying, or maybe they even vacate and leave, especially the rental properties. So that is an accounting function that every year we get with the department to say, okay, you know, who do you think is uncollectible? Should we go ahead and write them off?
Well, keep
But
in
no,
mind,
there would not be nearly this significant amount.
keep in mind, Commissioner Goddard, that 90% of these were fines and penalties from people that
Right.
never use the water to start with. I think that this will be a very recognizably lower number once the initial fines and things have written off on the people that never use water anyhow. Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Goddard, for pulling that item. I sent an email out yesterday with those same concerns, waiting for the response. But Susan, you did a great job on that. My question is simply this. Let me make a statement and I'll ask the question. Since I've been here since 2014, we've had this situation come up where, you know, they haven't hooked up and they haven't hooked up and they haven't hooked up. I want assurances that today that this is the end of the conversation of those who haven't hooked up. From now on, it'll be just write-off of uncollectible water rates. But we've got to start with a clean slate. And I need assurances today that this is going to clean the slate of those people who promised in good faith to hook up and didn't. This is the end of it. And am I hearing that today?
That should be correct. Public Works generated the list, and then we also had our IT go through and kind of query and look at accounts that had not had any water services to verify that these, you know, accounts definitely didn't have any water services. This should be the bulk of those that never committed and never hooked up.
Thank you, Susan. And also, let me say this. I do think it's kind of bad on the part of some of these people who requested to be hooked up. The system was built for them to be hooked up and didn't get hooked up. But that's for another conversation, another day. But I do appreciate, I think a clean slate is where this commissioner wants to go from this point forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls.
Susan, was there any recourse when these accounts were originally set up? Was there any expectation that they would hook up, or not expectation, any legal obligation for them to hook up? And was there any recourse if they didn't?
That's probably going to be more of a Public Works question, but I think there were some liens that were put on the properties, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
So I guess going forward, to Commissioner Harvey's point, how do we address this to where somebody agrees to hook up, they have, say, a rental property? I think it'd be prudent if we reached out to all the landowners that are not hooked up, that have meters in front of their houses, and let them know that going forward, if they have a rental property and the bills aren't paid by the previous tenants, the lien's going to land on the ownership, not the individual, and not have to go through this drill over and over and over. Start enforcing the rules and not have this happen.
Well, I agree. This is probably an issue that we need to look differently at going forward. That is not what we're looking at today. What we're looking at today are people who just didn't fulfill the obligation. And we have the same exact situation that's going to happen for the sewer system. People have obligated to sign up, but they're not obligated to do so. So if they've signed up, luckily over there, we've got a list of people that want to sign up to use the grant money that we are in the last round on at Water Management. If it gets approved, I think in September, if I'm not mistaken, that we were approved to move into to the next step, which is funding by their board. And I think that's in September. So it's not any different than that, except for the fact that on this, it happened back in 2009, and some of the people decided not to join up, and we're carrying a balance on our books that shows we have $648,000 on our books. That's complete hogwash. And so I think what's Susan, that's a technical term, Susan.
No, I like that term.
So anyhow, we just need to clean up the books, and most of it's already been written off anyhow, guys. It's we've already written out all but I think $28,000 of it, and that's the $28,000 is mainly an extension of the fines and the penalties that were on the 630. So it's a completely fictitious number. Carrying it on the books and then carrying an offset to write it off makes no sense whatsoever when we're not going to collect it. So, at this point, I'm with Commissioner Harvey. I think we definitely need to get us to a baseline of what is actually coming in, and then we need to start keeping books. And I think we already have rules in place for some of the people who actually are using water. So, and that's another deal. Yes, Tim.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, I got you now.
All right. So these are really two different issues here. So we got to keep them separate. The normal water user that's using water pays a deposit. That should cover if they leave or they get their water turned off, if you manage that properly and don't let those bills go out too far. This was only the original commitment to connect to the system. So don't blend the two, because when you talk about putting some responsibility on the landlord to pay the bill, then that's kind of like the power company doesn't make the landlord pay it. The gas company can't do that. So they're really two different issues, but the way you protect yourself on the monthly user is with a deposit. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Is there any further discussions on this item?
I got a question.
Mr. Rawls?
How do we, if somebody agrees to connect and then doesn't connect, is there any requirement, or is it, do they have the option to not connect in the future? Are we going to be facing this in the future? With this you get this next round, you got $12 million worth of connection money we're asking for. If those 100 people back out and say, well, we really don't want to do it.
What $12 million are you talking about,
the money from Water Management to connect the sewer down in San Mateo?
No, I think that's more like $1.2 million.
When you actually connect the houses, it's $12,000 per house is what they had estimated. But what if the people back out on that?
Well, the sewer system is going to be a little bit of a different story. And the reason why is because we have a list of people waiting to hook up beyond what we have money, even with this new deal. So if someone backs out, we're going to have someone else to take their place. The water system worked a little differently because the people who signed up, there weren't people in line willing to take their place and hook up to the water system. So like I said, it's two different animals altogether, for sure. But anyhow, is there any further items on this? If discussion on this, if not, the chair will entertain a motion to pass item C.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item C.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard to approve item C. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. And now we'll move on to item D, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just really want to give a shout out to Julianne. Ever since I've been here in 2014, surplus inventory has always bothered me. It seemed that we didn't have a really good handle on it, and it could be money coming back into our coffers. So Julianne has really stepped up to the plate on this and is getting this list moving faster and faster. There is some problems with the online auction or the auction right now due to COVID-19 that her and I discussed yesterday, but I am just really pleased, and I even mentioned it on the radio today, Julianne, about the job you're doing on that. It's important. It might sound unimportant, but surplus equipment can be coming back. That money comes back to help offset taxpayer burden. And I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate it. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for that opportunity, sir.
No problem. Would you give us a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move item D for approval, please.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Rawls to pass item D. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Okay. We're going to move into codes enforcement, and we do have some different ones here. Laura Parsons.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do you number 7A, do you have an email on that one? What do you have? Or do you just have one on C?
We just have one on C, I believe.
I have C and
Yeah, and the rest of it's on the public hearing for Public Works, I believe, isn't it?
I believe so.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is there's been a lady that's been asked to speak on this case, but it's been on C. I think that after the last meeting that we had a public hearing on, we decided it would be easier to let the people into the meeting at the first of the public hearing. That way they didn't come in cold turkey, not knowing what was going on. So I'm going to go ahead and omit Ms. Lange. Ms. Lang, even though she's for item C. Ms. Lang, do you hear me? Ms. Lang, do you hear me? Yeah, she's connecting right now with the microphone. While she's connecting, Meach, let's go ahead and move into item 1, the reduction request for Kelly Redford.
Good morning, everybody. First, 7A Code Case 2010-1448, property address 107 Susan Street, Interlaken, Florida. Property owners now are Redford Kelly. Violation was permits required. Original amount was $73,325. Recommendation of reduced fine is $2,215. Case summary for this case. This case was started back in December of 2010. Property ownership changed over time, over the years. A new owner, Kelly Redford, she bought the property in October 2019. She pulled the demolition permit and it was completed in February 2020. And fine reduction request was received in February 2020. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
Any questions of Mitra on this particular case, Code Case 1448, 2010, 1448.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harvey.
I don't have any questions for Mitra. I do want to make a statement about the work that Mr. Redford has done. This property is not far from my house, and he has really taken an old dilapidated mobile home and turned it into a very nice place. And I just want the board to know how much work he really did out there. I would like to ask a question of the board. And in cases in the past, we have looked at reducing the monthly administrative cost down, and in this case, it's $1,080.
All right.
I would like to see us try to whittle that down some. Mr. Redford did spend a lot of money on this place, and I just would like to know what the wishes of the board might be.
Commissioner Goddard.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that one, because if you look here, he basically, you know, he didn't cause this problem. He eliminated the problem, the way I look at it. He bought the piece of property. He went through the proper channels. He got the permit, demoed it, and is really improving our property, which is what we're trying to do. So I would like to see us go ahead and just take that administrative completely off of there and make the new action at $1,135.
Is that a motion, sir?
I'll make it a motion.
We have a motion, Commissioner Goddard, and a second by Commissioner Harvey.
Yes, sir.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner
I agree with Commissioner Goddard that, you know, he inherited this problem, and he's taken care of it. Is this what we've been doing, been consistent with? This is the other line item that we have reduced for previous codes enforcement cases?
And yes, sir, I think this is pretty consistent to what we've been doing all along with others of the same caliber.
Okay. All right, I'm good.
Is there any further discussion on this case? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, now we're going to move on to item B, which is 2015-259, Richard Colonel.
Commissioner Turner, before we move on to B, for item A, they still have 90 days like we do for all other cases, correct?
Correct.
Yes, sir. Would
Yes.
you include that in your motion, Commissioner
Yes.
Goddard, that they pay their fine within 90 days?
Within 90 days.
And the second's all right, and
Yes, sir.
and the commissioners are okay by nodding their head in agreement. Okay. So Mitra, thank you for pointing that out, and please move on to the next case.
Next fine reduction request, case number 2015-259, property address is 143 Melrose Landing Drive, Hawthorne, Florida. Property owner Richard Colonel, violation work without permit. Original fines were $16,593.75. Recommended reduced amount is $1,094. Case summary, case started in 2015. Mr. Colonel has provided history related to appeals through circuit court and district court in his emails attached in the agenda papers. Permit number 1903130 was issued on December 3rd, 2019, and fine reduction request was received in March of 2020.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spoke to Mr. Colonel yesterday in length on the phone, and he is in full agreement of paying the $1,094 and getting this issue behind him as fast as possible, and then getting his permits done the way they should have been. So he is absolutely fine with this, and he wants to pay the $1,094 within the 90-day period, sir.
Would you make that a motion, Commissioner Harvey?
I'll be glad to. I move approval on item B for the $1,094 for 90 days of payment.
I'll second, but I want a little bit of a discussion.
Okay, yes, sir, that's not a problem. We have a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Goddard will enter the discussion.
Well, I guess my question is exactly what did he do wrong other than he didn't pull the permit? Because he pulled the permit after the fact, but I just had a hard time reading this. I didn't see where he had done really anything wrong other than he didn't pull the first permit.
I'll get to you in a second, Commissioner Harvey. Mitra, do you want to answer that before I go to Commissioner Harvey?
Yes, sir. The case was started, Mr. Colonel had built a pool without permit, and the case went to magistrate, and Mr. Colonel didn't want to pull the permit, and he tried to prove that this pool was built for the cows. And that was the reason it went to magistrate. Magistrate issued an order. Mr. Colonel appealed that to the circuit court. He lost at the circuit court, and then again it was appealed at the district court, which he lost again. And after all that, he came back in December of 2019, had a meeting with John and everybody else in the building department, and finally pulled the permits.
Commissioner Goddard, considering everything that's taken place on this particular case, I think that the offer from Commissioner Harvey is very, very good.
I'm not disputing that it's not good. I'm just under the glass pool, which means he didn't build that pool. He bought it and put it in the ground, just like you would buy a pool almost from Walmart and put in there. That's why I was a little astounded as to, I understand the screened in area, I understand the concrete, but I didn't quite understand the heartache that we put this man through for a fiberglass pool.
Well, Commissioner Goddard, evidently the building department, the court, and the court system, and back to the special magistrate all disagree with you. Or
yes, sir.
This wouldn't have made it back to us. Commissioner Harvey, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think you're going to see this come back another day, live to fight another day. But Mr. Colonel has some issues on, yes, he did things wrong. He wants to do them right. He felt like he wasn't given the opportunity to pull the permit back then, so he changed it to a livestock. But we're going to hear about this down the road, months from now. He is working with the building department now, getting the permits. He doesn't really want anything to be messed up right now. He just wants to go forward and clean this up once and forever.
Well, I think that what we need to do on this one is do staff's recommendation, like Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner Goddard passed. Did you, somebody called, who was it? Okay, so is there any further discussion on this case? The motion on the floor is to accept the $1,094 staff recommendation. And I honestly think that's very generous in this particular case. And I from what I'm hearing of both sides, it's probably not a valid excuse to not pull a permit because you don't think you need one, especially after you've been told that you do need one. So with that being said, I'm gonna call for the vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Mitra, let's move to the next case, which is Miss Susie Lang on Miller Road in Pomona Park. And I see Miss Lang is on the line with us. I'm gonna let you make your presentation, then I'm gonna allow Miss Lang to speak. Mitra.
Court case 2017-23, property address 122 Miller Road, Pomona Park, Florida. Property owners now is Susie Lang. Share of premises original amount was $22,400. This case was started in April 2017. BOCC approved to move with foreclosure procedure in October of 2019. Mr. Castleberry started the foreclosure procedure and served the papers to previous owner TC13 LLC. Ms. Lang acquired the property from TC13 LLC in February 2020 via quitclaim deed for $500, and she was aware of the court case, fines, and legal fees associated with it. Ms. Lang complied on April 10, 2020 by cleaning up the property. She also pulled the permits and demolished the old mobile home from the property. The staff recommendation of reduced fine is $3,573, which includes legal cost of $2,489. Can't hear
Can I
Mr.
make a motion?
Chairman, you're muted.
Well, that ain't good, but now it should be
Mr.
fixed.
Chairman, can I
Thank you.
make a motion?
We need to go through it first, Commissioner Goddard. Miss Lang is in the room with us, and I'm
Okay.
going to let her speak first, if you don't mind, sir. Miss Lang,
I don't mind at all. No.
Please go right ahead, Miss Lang.
Well, I know that there was fines involved with this property. However, we did put a lot of money into this property, and we've paid all the back taxes have been paid. We've removed the trailers, and that was an extra expense of over almost $5,000. We had to clear the property and clean up the garbage. We are still at this point cleaning up the garbage, the broken glass that's everywhere. We've had quite a few people helping us on that. We've met pretty much all the neighbors because they were very interested in what we're doing and checking it out. And they have all complimented us on the work that we've done and how devastating it was before. And we've done a really good job cleaning it up. And so we've put a lot of money into this already. We're trying to get the gentleman, Don Sen, I believe his name is, for appraising it to lower the taxes for us for the next year, because the trailers are removed now. And we've just put a lot of money into this. And of course, the lower the fines, the better. We would like to eventually move across the street and clean that up. I'm working with the property owner on that to get that taken care of, get the fines paid and get the back taxes paid and get the cat situation under control. There is multiple cats. I personally have counted 27 at one time. And we would really like to be able to get those under control also. So of course, the lower the fine, the better, because that would just free up a little bit more to put into the place next door to clean that up. And Charlie, I was told that there was a guy from code enforcement named Charlie, and he's been trying to get this place cleaned up for years, and we would just like to be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lang. Now, Commissioner Goddard, did you have something you wanted to say under discussion?
Yes, I did. You know, there are some certain fees that we really, she did everything we want done. We absolutely love that that's what's happening. But there are some certain fees that we definitely incur that we do need to recut. The only two numbers that I can even look at in here that we could take off if we wanted to, of course, is the admin and the monthly fee. And the other one that I wanted to discuss was the inspections and the postings. Does that absolutely cost us $250, or was there a reduction on that number?
Those are the fee from the fee schedule. We charge $50 per inspection according to our fee schedule for code enforcement.
Okay.
Commissioner Goddard, I think Commissioner Goddard, I think that you can change pretty much anything you want on here, but just keep in mind, we want to try and stay as consistent as we can with the cases over a period of time.
And I do.
Yes, sir.
Right. So right now, if we did our admin and remove that off of here, our number now is at $3,213, which I know is not not as low as she would love it to be, but I think it's a reasonable number. So I'd make a motion to accept $3,213 payable in 90 days.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second, a motion by Commissioner Goddard and a second by Commissioner Bill Pickens. And the number was, again, say it again for me, Commissioner Goddard. What was the number?
$3,213.
$3,213. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
like
Commissioner
comment
Pickens.
as Commissioner Goddard said that this individual, they have done what we want done, is they've, purchased a piece of property and they brought it into compliance. So I wish we could help her more, but this is a little bit of reduction, but I appreciate what she's done to clean that property up in the surrounding areas.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this matter? And I'm assuming that this
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Chairman.
Ms. Lang, yes, ma'am. Ms. Lang?
Yes, we understand that there is the costs and everything involved with this, and we are okay with that. However, on the property next door, we would like to, I did talk to Mitra, there is a case already open in regards to this property, but with the COVID-19, there has not been any progression on the case. We would like to be involved if there is any progression on the case so that it doesn't get to this kind of a figure. And we would like to try and settle this before it occurs a lot more expenses like the attorney fees and the other fees that are involved with this foreclosure process. So if there's any way that could be noted, we would greatly appreciate that, because like I said, we just want to clean it up. There's garbage everywhere and we just want to get it cleaned up. And
Okay,
I think
Ms. Lang, I will ask Mitra to take that into consideration and make sure that the codes, the codes officer contacts you on that particular lot. Commissioner Harvey?
I was going to say this, Mr. Chairman. I hope Lisa's on the line. Maybe she can put some people down there with some cat traps and catch some of those cats that are in the property. But Ms. Lane, I know you're hearing us right now, and I really want to thank you because, again, as Commissioner Goddard said and Commissioner Pickens said, this is what we want people to do, and we appreciate you so much. And we also appreciate the fact you're looking at more land to clean up. It only makes our neighborhood better, and we need more people like you. So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mrs. Lane, for letting me speak.
You.
Okay, I'm assuming the motion on the floor included the 90-day payment, Commissioner Goddard?
Yes.
Okay, with that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. And Mitra, please if you would, make a note that whichever codes officer is going to work this case, if they would contact Ms. Lang on the one next door, I'd appreciate that. Also, we're going to move into case number 2018-0273, Mr. Hoyt in Interlochen.
Property, case number 2018-273, property address 127 Earl Avenue, Palaca, Florida. Property owner's name William Hoyt. Violation was care of premises. Original amount was $8,800. Case summary for this case. Case started back in July 2018. This case was scheduled for abatement foreclosure hearing in December of 2019. Mr. Hoyt complied before the December 2019 hearing. In February, Mr. Hoyt paid $400 towards the outstanding amount and also requested the fine reduction at that time. The recommended fine reduction is $1,043.
Mr. Chairman,
Harvey,
if you may. Thank you. I spoke to Mitra yesterday. Mitra, again, you used Palaca. The property is located in Interlochen. She kind of read that wrong, but Mr. Holt did pay $400 credit a
Yes.
few months back towards this fine. So if it pleases the board, I would like for us to reduce the 1,043 by 400 because he's already paid part of the fine. If we don't reduce the administrative fee, that's probably okay based on this one because there would have been fines occurring after the time he paid that. But I think it's prudent for us to give him credit where credit's due and reduce that amount down to $643.
Is that a motion?
It will be a motion, Mr. Chairman. If you don't mind, I make a motion. We reduce the fine to give Mr. Holt credit for 400 to the new price of 643 if paid within 90 days.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a motion by Commissioner Harvey and a second by Commissioner Rawls for $643 to be paid within 90 days. Is that correct?
Yes.
Commissioner Harvey?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. So we don't have any, that I'm aware of, we don't have any public comment on this particular issue. So with that in mind, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. While that's the end of our code enforcement section of this, I just wanted to take this opportunity to let the commission know that I've been told that Mitra is going to be leaving us. He's going to be a very badly missed member of this organization, and just we're all very sad to see you go, Mitra. I wish I could change your mind or bribe you, but I'm told I can't. So, you know, I'm sorry to see you leaving. I think you're a great asset to our organization.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I had pleasure working here.
Ditto for me.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna let Administrator Suggs go next, Mr. Pickens. He's been jumping up and down on the side of the room over here.
No, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Mitra personally for what she's done for Putnam County in her time here, and also to thank her for the opportunity to sit down with Lori Parker and I once we received the notice and had a very good, honest conversation. And Mitra, from one parent to another, I want to commend you for your decision, and I absolutely understand why you're doing it. And but you will be certainly missed around here. We certainly had a great working relationship, and citizens of Putnam County are going to miss you.
I'll miss you guys too.
Thank you, Mr. Suggs. Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo those comments. Mitra, I've really enjoyed working with you, and we've had some unique discussions about various code cases, from too many cars in a particular driveway or home to roosters in the wrong subdivision that can't have in a subdivision. So, and you've handled it very professionally. I'm really going to miss you. The whole staff will, and the commissioners. So I wish you well in your next endeavor.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mitra, I want to echo the words Commissioner Pickens and Mr. Suggs said. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with you. And if there's anything we can do as a letter of reference or anything, but I tell you, you're a breath of fresh air that we've had here, and you've always handled yourself professionally, level-headed, and I really appreciate that very much. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mitra, again, and we're certainly sorry to see you go. If you decide when you get home with the children and after a month or two you decide you can't stand it anymore, please keep us in mind.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to our public hearing. And before we go into item 8A, the chair is going to take a 5-minute recess at this time. 5 minutes instead of 8 minutes instead of 5 minutes. And we're going to move into the Public Works public hearings. And the first one is going to be 8A, the adoption of a resolution for vacating certain roads and canals in Paradise Lakes Estates. And who's taking these? Mike and Mike, or Mike? Okay. Mike Rodriguez is going to take it. Go ahead, Mike. Thank you.
You're welcome. Public Works Department is requesting the board's approval and the chairman's signature on the attached resolution authorizing the vacating of certain roads and canals in Paradise Lakes Estates Unit 2 subdivision. The county desires to retain the existing drainage easements and acquire drainage easements shown in Exhibit A. The department recommends adopting the resolution authorizing the vacating certain roads and canals and acquiring the drainage easements described in Exhibit A. It's already been advertised, so we've talked about it in workshops. So.
Okay, I know that we have two different persons wishing to speak. Is Wayne Atkins? I can't hear you, Jacob. Okay. So John Salmons hasn't, also has not joined the meeting or sent a number? Okay. Looks like he's trying to connect to his audio as we speak. We'll give him another moment, but while we're waiting on the on Mr. Atkins or Mr. Salmons to join the meeting, either one, I do have a Wayne Atkins that just joined. I'm going at this time, I'm going to let him into the meeting. And Mr. Atkins, do you hear me? Okay. We just started discussing your case. And when you joined us, we understand that you would like to. We just started discussing your case. Are you listening to this on a live feed along with the Zoom meeting, Mr. Atkins? Okay, if you could turn the other one, down, I'm going to unmute you. How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Atkins. You wanted to speak concerning this item?
Well, this is our item. I'm just hoping that it passes. We're family property. We're just trying to clean up the plat down there.
Okay. I guess Mr. Salmons, Mr. Salmons, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to speak at this time?
Yes, I would. This is a part of 4 subdivisions in Paradise Lakes that I started dealing with back in
This is a part. Go ahead, John.
Okay, it was coming back at me, but since 1996, I've been dealing with it. Several months ago, Wayne Atkins came to me and showed me a proposal to basically combine a bunch of lots to create bigger lots in subdivisions, which the planning divisions always wanted to do on these small antiquated subdivisions. So we worked in the process of that. He also wanted to vacate the roads and the canals that are there that you're looking at today. Basically, the lots that he's created, now he's combined lots to basically create 2 lots in each block. South of Atkins Road down to Lake George, creating several nice and most likely desirable lots that are right on Lake George. The roads and canals are no longer needed, and so I'm in support of them being vacated.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Salmons, for that comment. Does the commissioners have any comments or discussion on this before we entertain a motion, or the chair will entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harvey.
I'd like to say, for the public that's watching, we've been working with this and Commissioner Pickens on this for quite some time now. And I'm just really glad that this is getting cleaned up. So thank you, sir.
Is that a motion, Commissioner Harvey?
No, I think somebody else wanted to make a motion. I'll wait.
Okay. The chair will entertain a motion or further discussion on this issue.
I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Rawls.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution as proposed.
Have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Have a second by Commissioner Pickens and a motion by Commissioner Rawls.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Harvey. Yes, sir.
I think we have to read the title of the resolution. Historically, that's what Mr. Commando has wanted us to do.
I can do that. Do we have a number for the actual resolution? Because it's blank on the agenda.
No, I assigned a resolution number after, just in case resolutions are not passed.
Okay.
We can just say what that resolution number is now.
Say what?
Say it again, Rich.
What that resolution number is now, just for reference.
Are you saying we have to know the number right now?
No, you don't have to. I just thought if we're going to read the resolution title, it would help to have it now just as a reference point for the minutes.
You can number it 38, 2020-38.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion would be to approve a resolution 2020-38, a resolution vacating roads and canals in the Paradise Lakes Estates Unit 3 subdivision in accordance with Section 336.09 Florida statutes, closing and abandonment of roads authority, and Section 33612 Florida statutes, closing and abandonment of roads, termination of easement, and conveyance of fee.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I think we've gone through the proper procedures now by reading the actual resolution. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Pickens.
I actually drove by this piece of property. It's near my house, and it's in the northeast corner of Lake George, and it's going to be it's a beautiful piece of property. There's no question about that. So it'd be nice for something to be done with it.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Goddard.
I just wanted to note that on our paperwork where it says recommended action, it states unit number 2 instead of unit number 3. But our motion was for unit number 3.
Okay. What do you think about that, Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, I will correct that.
Okay.
It should be unit 3.
So our motion is correct on the resolution itself?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for catching that, Commissioner Goddard. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries unanimously. Now we're going to move into the item 8B. 8B, we have a multitude of people that wishes to speak. And we have a petition that's been submitted. The petition on this piece of property is in opposition to the Bass Drive project, and it's signed by more than 40 people. I've given a copy of it to Sarah for the records. And I'm going to let Mike bring it up. This is the item that we talked about in workshop, and I'm going to let Mike come over it or go over it, and then we're going to, after that, take all the public comment. Just before you do, are the people that are waiting in the lobby, Jacob, are they on this case? Okay. Would you please let them in?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we hear you. We're just fixing to start the case down on Bass Drive, and so we let you in for that. I'm going to mute you for now, Karen.
Okay, I can mute okay, that's fine. You can just mute me and okay, that sounds good.
We've got others entering. As soon as we enter, then I'll start. Diana's trying to get in on her audio, and Diana, can you hear me? If you can, wave, please. Thank you. We'll get to your testimony, your public statement in just a minute. I think Mr. Cartwright is joining, and Mary Woodford is also joining. So at this time, I just wanted to back up just a little bit and state that we received a petition that included over 40 names that was in opposition to this. And we also have 3 emails that we're going to read, but I'm going to do the other opposition or the other comment first, and then we'll read 3 other emails that were sent in that are not on the conference call at this time, or the virtual meeting, excuse me. And so I'm going to let Mike Rodriguez, there you go. If you want to go ahead and present the case, Mike, and then I'll take testimony.
Okay, thank you. Public Works Department is requesting the board's approval and the chairman's signature on the attached resolution authorizing the vacating of a 100-foot portion of Bass Drive that is located adjacent to tax parcel 261226780000100310 as recorded in book 1561, page 61 of the public records of Putnam County, Florida. The board agreed to move forward with this process at the March 10th, 2020 BOCC workshop. Exhibit A shows a portion of Bass Drive to be vacated, requesting to be vacated, and Public Works Department has no objections to the proposed vacation and recommends the board approve vacation of a portion of Bass Drive.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And at this time, we have the applicant on the phone. We'll start with him. The applicant is Mr. Cartwright. Mr. Cartwright, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Cartwright, if you would like to speak, this would be your opportunity.
Yes, sir. I had can you hear me well?
Yes, sir, I hear you.
Good. Okay. I had a meeting on site yesterday, and there was 40, 50 people there, and there's lots of concerns and questions, and I would say it was, half and half either way. I believe that over a period of time, I have met the due diligence. I own the property on both sides to be vacated. I have went through all of the checklists with EMS services, Sheriff's Department, the utilities. This is not really going to affect anyone. And the only comment that continued to come up yesterday was their access to Lot 32, which is public domain, is the boat club. If you're not familiar with River Park, you wouldn't understand this, but I'm sure you all are. There's a bridge over to the island and all the other boat stalls. This little 110-foot piece is only in front of a lot that I bought from a resident here, Bill Frazier, and I intend to build a new home there and wanted the right-of-way vacated. There's lots of rumors about what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is do the same thing that I've always done, commissioners, is abide by the county and the state rules and be a good neighbor to everybody. That's all that I'm asking. I would like for this to be vacated. I would hope that you don't postpone this. I have done the due diligence. The Transportation Committee has already voted on this once, as well as everybody's recommending approval. I would like for you to just take that in consideration and don't guess what I'm going to do. Know that I'm going to do what I've always done in the River Park area, is do the best that I can for Putnam County and be a good neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. Are there any questions of the applicant at this time? Okay, hearing none, we're going to move into other public comment. Commissioner Rawls, yes, sir.
When you say you're going to continue to do what you've been doing, is that part of the issues with the people that are signing the petition and speaking against this?
Hang on, I can hear. I got you now, Mr. Cartwright. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think that part of the people signed the petition thought I was going to close Hayes Road. It was very ambiguous in the petition that went around about what I was going to do. When I said I'm going to continue to be a good neighbor, Commissioner, you may not remember me, but I've been up before y'all a couple times. I'm the guy that put the speed bumps in River Park. I've torn down several demos, have bought lots and lots of property, even some real property in the county. Some of the commissioners, you know me personally. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not going to impede anything or upset those neighbors. It would be ludicrous for me to pay in the upper 100s for a lot, build a house in the upper 300s or 400s, and then do anything on that lot that wasn't adequate to the county to improve this county. It would be crazy to invest that kind of money and do anything. I mean, the questions that they've asked was I going to run a clubhouse? Was I going to do boat rentals? Was I going to do this? The real thing is, someone asked me, was I going to move in the house? And I told the truth. I'm not absolutely sure I'm going to move in the house. I live in a pretty nice house in the area. I don't know that me and my girlfriend would move over there, but I'm going to build a house, and it's investment. I am investing lots of money that I'm moving out of Georgia to Putnam County. I've only invested in Florida and Putnam County. And if you look at your tax roll, you can, most of y'all know how much money I've invested here. I'm going to do the right thing. They're assuming that I'm not, but I'm going to do the right thing like I always have. That's what I mean by continue to be a good neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. Are there any other comments from commissioners before I move into public comment on this item? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to start with Karen. I'm going to unmute you. Good morning again, and please proceed.
Good morning. I'd like to first of all thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak before the board. My name is Karen Concannon. My husband and I own the property at the other end of Bass Drive and have owned it for like 8 years now. We love that community. It's a very small, sleepy town community. You have this request. I won't get you know what the request is, which I have, for Mr. Cartwright to take over that section of land. I'm requesting that you deny this. Mr. Cartwright, by him getting this land, first of all, I'd like to say that I have served on the Planning and Zoning Board and the Code Enforcement Board, New Smyrna Beach, for many years as a chair. So granting this request to Mr. Cartwright, he would be getting significant value, land value and accessibility. And this would be for only Mr. Cartwright only. It would not allow us taxpayers and the community to have access to that land. It's a road right now. It provides a safe access for the neighbors on lot 30, which is adjacent to him. They back out, they use that area. So there is also a safety issue, but I'm more probably concerned with the encroachment issue that I see Mr. Cartwright. I think it's necessary to give you a little background on Mr. Cartwright. I'm very concerned that he serves as a mayor and a city manager in Lovejoy, Georgia. I can go on and tell you how much salary he makes, and I can also tell you it's been challenged as illegal and definitely a conflict of interest. So I do question what his real intentions are. He's also, as he said, he's bought 40, based on the tax rolls, 43 properties in the Putnam County area. And I think my bigger concern is he has a website called River Life. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review it, but from that, you can tell that he is going to run he's running a business. He's running boat rentals, he's doing guide fishing, and he explicitly shows that area to run his business. And yes, there's concerns that he's going to take that property and not do and build a residence for himself. He's going to use it to serve his short-term rentals, which he has many of in the area based on his website. And he's going to use that area as a common area. He's going to commercialize that and not use it for the R1 that it's intended. So knowing enough about Mr. Cartwright, looking into his background, look into what he's done, what he's brought up, his intentions, I do not feel are to build an R1. I feel he will gain all the value from that property. We will lose, we being the citizens and the local area, we will lose rights and access to that property. And he is the only one that's going to gain something from this. So I'm just going to ask you and also please watch him and make sure he does only build an R1 on that. And I have concerns on that also. Thank you so much. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know it's a long day for all of you, and I'm sure there's many that want to speak. But once again, I'm just going to implore the commission to deny this request. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments. With that, I'm going to move on to Diana Hoover. I'm going to unmute you now, Miss Hoover. Good morning again.
Good morning. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to speak. I'm quite nervous. I've never done this before. I would like to request that this matter, if you are going to consider approving it, at least postpone it until more people can be there for a physical meeting. It involves so many of us, the residents, and it's due to the conflict of this closing, it impacts all of the residents. And Karen spoke very, very eloquently and very nice about how she feels about it. And like you said, you received the paperwork that's 40 people or more signed that are concerned about this, because that road allows us as residents of this community access to fishing, and that'll be taken away from us. He said that he purchased land across the property, across that roadway, but that's in question, and there's a lot of us that are going to get together and argue that point as well, because that was boat property, not boat, the boat club property, and it's only supposed to be maintained by that boat club and not sold. It's community property that the boat club maintains and should never have been sold. But he just wants to close up that entire section that's used by residents. He says we don't, but we do. All for the fact that he wants to build a larger house and a larger garage, which is going to take away from that community. And like Karen stated, he admitted he's not going to live there. Therefore, as a rental property, he's going to use it as a business. And I agree, that's not what it's zoned for. So along with that, I appreciate your time, but please consider the fact that, and this is just a line, but the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one. And it's a business to him. That's what he said all along. And we want to maintain it as a nice residential area. So thank you for your time. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hoover. And at this time, I'm going to take testimony from Miss Woodward, Mary Woodford. I'm going to unmute you at this time. Are you there, Miss Woodford?
Yes, I am.
Please continue.
My name is Mary Woodford. I live at 134 Hayes Avenue, Crescent City. The land next to me is owned by Bob Cartwright. My concerns are you giving him the property on Bass Drive? I need that road to safely back out of my drive. I live on a so-called corner. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's very dangerous for me to back out a different way. So backing onto this road where it comes together, I need it for safety. So we back out there, and if he does get it and he puts a fence, that will still take that my safe backing out, because it will be a dead end. It's already been happening now. People with the signs up, it's like a cul-de-sac now. So they're always turning around and turning around. Also, the other residents have used Bass Drive for fishing and parking. Bob Cartwright has only himself in mind, not the residents of the park. I've seen Mr. Bob Cartwright tell visitors or residents, I'm not sure who they were, to park on that spot on Bass Drive. And I have pictures if you need to see them. I've had 2 pictures of 2 different times, people parking there where they went boating or fishing. I'm not sure who they were. And Mr. Cartwright even said that he had no idea who they were, but they can use that spot to park. But why not the rest of the world? It's not just his, and it shouldn't be just his. He has expressed that if he gets the property and he don't like you, well, then that's too bad. It's not going to be yours to use. So why take it from all the people to give it to one person? Mr. Cartwright only has himself in mind there also. He needs this property to, he said he needs a property, bigger house and a bigger garage. Why can't he build up like the rest of them do when they don't have enough space? Build up instead of out. And if you take it, there's the people that live here won't have the view anymore. And will not have Bass Drive to go watch the sunset and take pictures. And they do that all the time. There's a lot of people that walk out there to do that. Residents have seen it. I don't know if you've seen it. He has a warehouse garage on Orange Trail. It's bigger than the houses around it. It looks terrible, and it's always messy. I don't want that here around my house or our neighborhood. If you vacate the part of Bass Drive, us as a community would be interested in saving it so that we all can use it as it has been for everyone. I know I'm just one small voice, but I hope am I still on?
Yes, we hear you, Mary.
Thank you. I know I'm only one small voice, but I hope I spoke loud enough to be heard. And I thank you for your time and letting me speak.
Thank you for being on here with us today. Is there anyone else that we have not heard of that's on the line? We have 4 emails that we're going to get Laura Parsons to read into the record that have been sent in on this case. So Laura, if you would start reading your 4 emails, and I think that that is all of our testimony. We don't have anybody else in the waiting room, and I think everyone has spoken that's joined the meeting. So Laura, please move forward with the 4 emails.
Okay, my first one is from Vicki Lucas. She's at 127 Carolina Street, Crescent City. Miss Lucas says, please reconsider making a decision on this matter without hearing from the community that this decision impacts. The area in question is used by members of the community. By being available and open, this area is an oasis where neighbors can connect, not in a loud party way, but a quiet fishing sort of way. Keeping this open still allows Mr. Cartwright access without restricting the community's use of it. Thank you for your consideration. Vicki Lucas, member of the River Park community. The second one I have is from George Anchetta. This one is lengthy. I have a couple of them to read from him. Dear sirs, my name is George Anchetta. I live on Bass Drive in River Park West. I am requesting that the meeting regarding the partial closure of Bass Drive be postponed until such time that a live meeting can be held. The reason for this request is as follows. Number 1, many residents do not have internet access. 2, cell phone coverage is weak and spotty in our neighborhood, with no coverage on some streets, depending on the carrier company. 3, a large number of our residents are over 65, retired, and do not have computers or computer access. 4, some residents have computers but are not proficient in the operation of them to participate on an online meeting. 5, a telephone number for telephone participation of a conference call of the May 12th, 2020 scheduled meeting has not been posted on the notice signs by the county on the affected property. Only a general info phone number to your office is posted. 6, if residents do not have the ability to participate in a public meeting on this important matter, which affects every resident in the River Park subdivision, then it may constitute a violation of Florida's sunshine laws. For these reasons, I am urging your department to postpone this very important meeting until such time that a live meeting can be held. Thank you for your consideration on this matter. Very truly yours, George Anchetta. And he also sent another letter that says, Dear sirs, it has come to our attention that the waterfront property that Mr. Cartwright bought from the River Park Boat Club, warranty deed listed on Public Records Book 1561, page 61, may have been an invalid sale of property by the River Park Boat Club, Inc., the River Park Boat Club bylaws, in quotations, on behalf of all property owners and residents of River Park, the River Park Boat Club Incorporated accepts ownership of the following properties deeded to them by Lucky Lucky Inc. Number 1, lots 15 through 25, Block 1, River Park. This area used for access to boat ramp, boat slips, and access to the St. Johns River. 2, Lot 10, Block 2, River Park. This is the parking lot. 3, Lot 32, Block 1, and lots 28 and 2, Block 6, River Park. This is the 10-foot strip of land around the boat basin, except that portion for street access from Lot 31, Block 1 to Lot 1, Block 6. Deeds to these properties have been properly recorded. River Park Boat Club Incorporated agrees to own and manage these properties for the exclusive use and benefit of River Park residents, property owners, and guests of their households. Article B, purposes. Section 5, to promote and enforce the improvement, maintenance, and security of boat slips and property, in quotations. Nowhere in the bylaws and articles does it state that the River Park Boat Club has the authority to sell boat club owned property, real estate. As such, we feel that the above mentioned sale to Mr. Cartwright was invalid. We are requesting a postponement of the BOCC's decision on the closure of Bass Drive until such time as can be determined if the sale was actually authorized according to River Park Boat Club's bylaws and articles. We will be seeking an opinion from the Florida Department of Corporations and the Florida State Attorney General's Office, as well as legal counsel. In light of the above situation, we are requesting a postponement. Thank you for your consideration. Signed, residents and property owns of River Park. That came from George Anchetta in an email. Okay, and my next one comes from Albert Rowley. Address is 123 West Palm Avenue, Crescent City, Florida. Closing of Bass Drive, River Park West Subdivision, Putnam County BOCC meeting on 5/12/2020 should inform all of River Park West Subdivision property owners of a meeting to discuss the closing of any road closures in this subdivision and schedule a meeting open to the public when the coronavirus has passed. There is no reason for Bass Drive to be closed for any reason other than road work and not for personal gain. I cannot see any road work going on in that area by Putnam County Road Department. Closing Bass Drive will only take away access from the public that has the only access to view the St. Johns River. And my last one is from Camilla Bentley. And it says, good morning. I live at 200 Bass Drive and oppose to giving the road to 100 Bass Drive. Thanks, Camilla Bentley. You're muted.
Thank you. Okay. I think those are all of our written statements, and we've heard from everybody concerning the case. And so I'm at this time going to close public comment in the public hearing, and I'm going to ask the commissioners. Yes, and the first one would be Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I have a couple of questions. Looking at our packet, and Mike Rodriguez, you can help me on this. Looking on the packet, it appears that the property, and I don't know if it's north or south, but it looks like it's a large piece of property undeveloped. But if you go to Google Maps, it clearly, the satellite image shows a whole different scenario there. I guess on Google Maps, it was number one, it was hard to find, but during the conversation, I was able to pull it up. I'm just not, I think your map that you sent out in the packet is not correct, because it does not show those parcels down below as carved out. Do you see what I'm talking about, Mike?
Yes, and the portion of the road that's shown on the map is correct. And I have a picture of it. I went down there last week. I don't know if I can try to hold this up so you can see it, but it is just land right now. So that would be, so all that area that's grass is the portion that we're talking about. There's a zoomed out picture a little bit more. So you can see the road where it's been maintained would be that the dirt part. You can see the sign where it begins. So
but it appears to me on Google Earth, and I wish I would have went down there now and looking in hindsight, and maybe I'll get an opportunity too, but it looks like the road goes all the way around that little pond area. I don't see how we could vacate that. Maybe I'm just looking at it through Google Earth and not there, but that was my question to you. I just didn't like the plat map. That was part of that because it does not show actually what's going on in that neighborhood. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Rawls, did you have a comment?
Yeah, several things are going through my head. In light of what we've heard, I think the citizens have made a valid request to get this pushed to a later date. It sounds like there might be a legal question as to whether or not the current owner has proper ownership of the property, number one, but also the property is not going to go anywhere. I think it would be prudent that we postpone this and allow the public to come in for a face-to-face meeting. But at this point, based on what I'm hearing, I would not be in favor of moving forward with the vacation of the road.
Commissioner Goddard.
Yeah, I guess I have a question for Mike. What is the county's gain by giving up this piece of property?
Then we would, no longer be liable for that portion of Bass Drive. We wouldn't have to worry about maintaining it. As of right now, it's all grass, as you can see on the road or on the picture.
Okay, that's why I guess my curiosity is what maintenance do we do on this section?
As of now, it doesn't appear to be any, but it doesn't look like it's being used as a road. And the property owners of the adjacent properties, Mr. Cartwright is requesting that it be vacated.
I understand what he's asking. I just don't see the gain for the county nor for the residents. It's not costing us maintenance because we're not maintaining. It's a grass lot. But it also does give us, if we need that for drainage or for whatever we might need it, we still have possession of it. It's not costing us anything. And I honestly, I don't even know if we need to postpone it. As I see it, I don't see any reason for us to give up this piece of property. I don't see it for the county. I don't see it for the residents.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Goddard. Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, I drove by it again today to look at it, and Commissioner Harvey, it is kind of hard for you to understand it if you've never been down there to look at it. That it is a strip of grass, is what it is, to the boat basin, is what it is. So the road is being maintained, and it's over to the left or the right, depending on which way you're going. So a vacation of this is not going to do anything with the actual road that people travel on. So I, as the commissioner of District 1, am really surprised, because I have not heard from any of the people who are here are on that list, opposing this. And I'm surprised because I'm very accessible. I have spoken to Mr. Cartwright a number of times about this, but I'm in favor of postponing this as possible, so I can hear from all the residents. I was elected to hear the concerns of all citizens and to make the best decision that I can. And so I've heard from Mr. Cartwright, and I understand what he's trying to accomplish. I think he can still build a house on this property, whether he gets this vacation or not. So that I believe he's going to build a house one way or the other. And I don't really see a lot of people going to that particular spot to fish, but I want to hear their concerns. So this would be my recommendation, if we can, is to allow the commissioners to go down and look at it. If we have to call a meeting, an advertised meeting where we're all down there where we can discuss it, I think that might be necessary. But I'm in favor of postponing this, where we can gather some more information and for them to be able to look into the validity of the purchase that Mr. Cartwright has made from the boat club.
Okay, Commissioner Harvey.
Yeah, I concur with Commissioner Pickens, and I think that it's prudent for us, and thank you, Commissioner Rawls, for saying that also. I think we need to postpone it. We should be back in chambers soon. I'm imagining probably within the next month. I'm just thinking out loud, hoping out loud, actually. Like to see everybody. But I think we should wait till we can get back together and really go down there and look at it. But I'm gonna encourage you to look at Google Earth, because it's a whole lot different than looking at what we're seeing. So I confer with Commissioner Pickens. Commissioner Pickens, thank you for the commentary, sir.
Okay, I think what we'll do is Rich, do I need a motion to continue this to a later date, not time certain, or can we just remove it from the agenda at this time and for later? Or how would you like us to handle that? Because it sounds to me like the commission wants to move it. And the reason I'm saying not a time certain is because I don't know when we're going to be back in here in the chambers. It could be 2 weeks, a month, 6 weeks. I don't know until we get into phase 2 and we're allowed by the guidelines to have a meeting of more than 10 people. So would it be just best to remove this from the agenda at this time and re-advertise when we know we're going to have a meeting in the building?
If you don't want to defer to a time certain, yes, I would advise to just remove it from the agenda, and we'll go through the advertising process the next time it needs to be heard. If you wanted to avoid having to go through the advertising process, that's when you have a motion to defer to a time certain.
Well, because of we're not certain when it would be, when the time certain would be, I think that that we need to re-advertise it. Do I need a motion from the commission in order to do that, or should I remove it from it myself? How would that be handled?
At this point, it just seemed, I mean, from what I'm hearing from the commission is that the commission does not desire to take any action on it today. So it'll just be removed from the agenda, and you can investigate further to determine whether or not you want to put it on a future agenda.
Okay, well, this commissioner, by doing this, I think that if there's any additional money that the applicant would have to pay for advertising or what have you, that the county pick that money up because we're moving this further into the future. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mike Rodriguez to withdraw this item from the agenda today, and it will be re-advertised and heard at a later date when the meeting will be in person and not over virtual circumstances.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and with, yes,
Commissioner
Rawls. Yes, Commissioner Rawls first, and then Commissioner Pickens.
In light of the fact that we had such a large contingent of folks that are concerned about this, I think it's fair that we contact them if we have their email addresses when this does come back up, so they're aware of it. They may not catch a public posting, but
okay, Julianne and Laura Parsons, would you give the contact list of people who sent in either an email or requested to be heard on this? Would you give that contact information to Mike Rodriguez? And the next time that we hear this case, would we please send out an email or contact these people and let them know that that this case is going to be taken up again at a certain time, into the future? Is that good enough, Commissioner Rawls?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Pickens.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I agree. Mr. Cartwright has, put a lot of time and money in this, and he has been postponed a couple of times. We had a little snafu with Public Works on moving some of this stuff forward. But so anyway, he's been very patient. So I would agree on waiving any fees that might incur for the next advertisement for this. And Ms. Karen and Ms. Diane, can you hear me? My phone number is 386. Okay, 386-538-6081. My email is bill.pickens@putnam-fl.com. Okay, so like I say, I was really surprised of the opposition here. So, but I think this is the best thing to do. We need to hear the other citizens' side of this, and I encourage the commissioners to go down and look at this. And I might even consider a special meeting to go look at it as a group. So I'll get with Administrator Suggs on that, and also, Rich, I know one of the people who sent in an email was questioning our process as notifying citizens about this. Are you able to address that?
From everything I've seen, both before the meeting and today, I think it would be hard pressed for someone to argue that we didn't provide public access, especially when this topic has had the most public comment of any other agenda item in our meeting. And we've opened it up in multiple different avenues that if we had had an in-person meeting wouldn't be available to someone in the public. So I don't have any concern that we've complied with the open sunshine laws.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got, Commissioner or Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Pickens, for your comments. Sounds to me like what you probably need to do, and nobody needs to tell you this as smooth as you are, but I think you need to try to maybe get a meeting with the people in the area and try to see exactly what the problems are and meet with them, and perhaps with Mr. Cartwright and the other players that live there. So I will be happy to come to that meeting if you want to advertise a meeting of the commission, but either way, you just let me know. With that, we're going to remove that item from the agenda today, which is item B, and we're going to move into item C, which is the resolution for an easement swap located in Sportsman's Harbor, Unit 3 subdivision on Hockley Drive. Mike Rodriguez.
Hey, thank you. Public Works Department is requesting the board's approval and the chairman's signature on the attached resolution authorizing the exchange of real property held by Putnam County with other real property Putnam County desires to acquire for county purposes. The real property held by Putnam County and the real property desired is located in Sportsman's Harbor, Unit 3 subdivision on Hockey Drive. As discussed in the January 28th, 2020 Transportation Workshop, Public Works recommends the board's approval and the chairman's signature authorizing the exchange.
Okay, is there any questions of the commission on this item? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, you have to have public comment.
Thank you. We didn't have any public comment on this particular item, Commissioner Harvey. Thank you for bringing that up, though. We definitely need to bring it up that it wasn't, none was sent in. Is that correct, Laura Parsons? None was sent in for this case?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Now the chair will entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion. Laura, you want to give me a resolution number, or do I have to have that?
Would it be 39, one after the earlier one?
Yes, 39.
Okay, 2020-39, Commissioner Pickens.
Okay, I'll make the motion. We approve resolution number 2020-39, a resolution of the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners of Putnam County, Florida, authorizing exchange of real property between Putnam County, John H. and Teresa M. Smith and Leslie H. Arnold, pursuant to section 125.37 Florida statutes and providing an effective date.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Commissioner Pickens and a second by Commissioner Harvey. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries unanimously. The next item on the list is the comments by our clerk of court, the Honorable Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes here and mention a project that's going on. It's really not related to the clerk of the court or my duties, but I think it's important we share this. And most of you have already participated or know of this, but I want to commend some folks that have really worked hard in this. About 3 weeks ago, I received a call from a lifelong friend out of St. Johns County. They were calling on behalf of an opportunity to bring well-needed food supplies to our county, and we're looking for someone that I might know that they could hook up with that knows about this. So I gave them 3 names: Ed Killebrew, Denise Bramlett, and Jared Dollar. And these foods that are coming in are restaurant prepared meals that are frozen. And I know that Commissioner Rawls was planning to go to try today with Alex Sharp out to West Putnam, but I think he's going to miss that because of the meeting link. But this goes to show that there is a need in our community that has existed for a long time. And when I served as president back in 2008-9 timeframe, all of our efforts and our resources then was going to provide food for those that needed it. And here we are at 2020, and we still have those needs, exacerbated by the COVID-19 issues right now, more and more people. But I wanted to say that this was a unique opportunity, and that Ed Killebrew really took this on as a mission of his. He has put together a network. He has worked with the organizers out of St. Johns County. They actually now have access to a commercial facility where more and more of these foods will be able to come into our community. And it gives me great joy to know that we have folks in our community that work hard, not for recognition, but because there's a need. And as Franklin Roosevelt said one time, it's not our job to provide for those for those that have resources. It's our job to provide for those that don't have resources. So I think that continues to be the case today. And I wanted to thank him and Denise and Jared for their continued efforts in that. And to also mention that there are 2 food opportunities coming up. One is next Wednesday at the fairgrounds, and then the following week at the community at St. John's State College. So I hope folks are taking advantage of that. And I'm so proud to live in a community that cares about its citizens. And lastly, I wanted to thank this commission. I think that you have demonstrated extreme courage and leadership during this, and that our community is better off for it. Each of you should be thanked personally, and I want to do that today and tell you how much I appreciate all you've done. Mr. Chairman, those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. With that, we're going to move into appointments. And I'll start with Commissioner Pickens. Do you have any appointments today?
Yes, I do. I'd like to renominate Mayor Brett Peterson to serve on the Animal Services Advisory Committee.
Okay, Mr. Peterson is an appointment for district, so you don't have to nominate him. You can just appoint him as your district representative, Commissioner.
Okay, I would like to appoint him. I've talked to him and he's willing to serve another term.
Okay, thank you.
And also I see that there is an appointment available for District 4 for the Fair Authority. And I do have somebody who lives in District 1 who is willing to serve on that board if Larry, if you need somebody.
Yes, I also have somebody that's wanting to serve on that board from District 3. So anyhow, just to I think that that's a well sought after deal, and I've got another reappointment that I'll make at the last meeting because his term isn't up on the Fair Board yet as of June. I think it's please continue, Commissioner Pickens.
So I don't know if I needed to mention the name or just get it to, they have filled, Laura sent them an application. And I don't know if they've filled that application out yet, Laura. Okay, I'll push them to do that, but it will be available for you, Larry, to consider. That's all I have.
Okay, second on the list is Commissioner Goddard. Do you have any appointments today?
Yes, I do. On the Fish and Fun Advisory Committee, I want to appoint Andrew Rusnak.
Okay. Would you please get his contact information to Ms. Parsons?
Will do.
Has he filled out an application?
Yes, he has.
Good deal. Thank you. Then that means she has that information. Okay. Is that all you have today, Commissioner Goddard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, Commissioner Rawls.
I have no appointments.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do appreciate if you would forward me names, but I've already interviewed someone, and Amber Cover is going to replace Tim Campbell on the Fair Board.
Okay. And is that a district appointment, or is that one that has to be voted on, Laura?
It's a district.
Okay. Thank you. A district appointment that doesn't necessarily have to live in the district for the Fair Board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But still a district appointment. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey. Do you have any more?
I am in talks with Robert Bernstein right now on Waterways and Trails. So I will be probably making a recommendation very soon on that one also.
Okay. Thank you, sir. If there's no more, if I don't have any appointments for today, the next would be the county administrator's comments.
Yes, sir. I apologize if you're getting feedback.
I don't hear you.
I apologize if you were getting feedback. My earbuds just died. The battery died, so I apologize for that. Just some quick comments this morning, if I could. I just want to make sure that I heard correctly this morning. Julianne Young and myself are going to reach out to the St. John Shipbuilders and have that conversation and bring something back as soon as we can, hopefully at the next workshop. Also, that talking about potentially if Commissioner Pickens deems it necessary to schedule a on-site visit at Bass Drive with the Board of County Commissioners. So if we need to advertise that, we'll work on that. Then just a couple of personal comments. I want to piggyback a little bit on Mr. Smith's comments about the type of community that we live in today. You know, we heard about the effort that was going on with the food drive, and so you know, a lot of people don't know this, but at the OC, the folks that have been working in call center has also been making masks for first responders and county staff, and they've done a marvelous job with. I think they've up to about 75 or 100 masks at this point. And so, in doing so and keeping with the spirit, we've got two other folks that are raising funds for Feed the Need here in Putnam, and that's Miss Kathy Griffin and Miss Julie Masters. They're making masks at their cost, and all the proceeds that are raised from that is going to Feed the Need. And I think as of today, they've raised over $500 for that project. So, Mr. Smith, we do live in a great community. We do have wonderful people that are here, and we are doing a great job in this community during this difficult time. And my last comment this morning, Mr. Chairman, is I want to make sure that we congratulate Mr. Matt Reynolds and Miss Carrie Reynolds on the birth of their beautiful daughter, Reagan. And we're so proud of both of them and excited for their future and being great parents. Matt's son Dalton's excited about it. And we're just excited as we can be, and we're glad to have you back, Matt. So thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you, Terry. Administrator Suggs. With that, we're going to move on to county attorney comments. Rich, do you have anything to add to the meeting this morning there, Colonel?
Just a quick, you may have already seen that the governor issued an order on Friday. It was 20-114. which extends 20-52, which allows the virtual meeting, the communication media technology, these virtual type meetings that we're participating in now for another 60 days till July 7th. I don't know that we're going to carry it through that long, but just to know that that ability is there if we do need it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that, Colonel Commando, and we're going to play that by ear. I think at this time, just out of an abundance of caution, we need to continue with these meetings at least the 1-2 weeks from now, our next regularly scheduled board meeting. And I was going to say this under my comments next, but I'll go ahead and say it now. We need to understand as commissioners that while we want the economy to open up just as bad as anybody, if not worse, we still need to understand that we're only in phase one. Phase one means that if you're a vulnerable person, you're still supposed to social distance. You're still supposed to wash your hands. You're still supposed to be careful. If you are a vulnerable person, you're supposed to self-isolate. I think it was Commissioner Rawls that said that personal integrity and personal responsibility is what people need to be responsible for in this issue. But it's not necessarily the case when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's over the weekend and it looks like they're giving stuff away, that they're so busy. So I guess my point being is that we do want to move forward, but we also want to keep everybody safe during the time and keep our employees feeling good about coming to work. And that's part of the reason. The only thing this commission did, as a last reminder, and I'll be quiet about it, the only thing this commission did was close and then open the parks except for Project Play. That's the only thing that we did. The rest of it was in the libraries, and the rest of it was done by the state of Florida. So as they open up, I'm going to certainly support them opening up and do everything I can to aid them in opening up. That's what I want to do. But at the same token, we need to open up as safely as we possibly can while protecting the employees that work for Putnam County. I think that's our job sitting here today, is protecting our employees while we get this opened back up. With that, I'd also like to say, seeing how I'm going first today, that I'm proud of this commission. I'm proud of the commission for the way we've reacted during this crisis, and I'm proud of this commission for naming that building the day after Mr. Beedenball. Also, you will be starting to get contacted. Different commissioners will be starting to be contacted by our PIO department. We're going to start doing some in-house commissioner videos of not just things about COVID, but about other things. It could be about a project. It could be about a whatever, and you'll come in and you'll get with Jacob, and Jacob will either do it through the Zoom platform or through the commission chambers video equipment, and do it, and it will be put on the Facebook page and put on the BOCC website. And it's not, like I said, it's not just about COVID. It's about other issues that may come along that the public that would be interested in knowing. That's the whole idea that we had in forming a PIO department before the COVID came along and consumed that team. So anyhow, I think that's all the things I had today, and so I'll move on to comments by Commissioner Rawls.
Can't wait to get back to work. I'll be glad when this is moving on to the next 2 or 3 phases. But I've expressed before, I have a lot of concern for our businesses in Putnam County, big and small. Food prices are starting to tick up a little bit, and then I start thinking about our employees. And last year we gave them a 6% pay raise for all those that were making less than $20 an hour. I hope we're thinking that direction again. We really need to figure out how to put a finger in the leak of the bucket, and start maintaining employees and paying them not just livable wages, but at this point, as we start to see inflation from this virus, that's really not going to be anything that our employees are able to control. So I think we got our budget coming up here real soon. I'd love for that to be a large part of the conversation on how we fund not just a pay raise, but take a look at what other counties are doing as far as pay scales with a stepping grade. I'm taking a look right now at Flagler County's last salary survey and looking at one other one, and I hope we can get on board with this. But otherwise, you know, I'm glad we're at the numbers we are in Putnam County, as low as they are. I'm really thankful that we've had as few deaths and hospitalizations as we had, and I hope we continue down that road.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Rawls. Commissioner Goddard.
Well, I'm gonna segue into that one because the budget is something that we're seriously going to have to look at. Putnam County's not reliant on tourism, but the state of Florida is, and therefore monies that come from the state of Florida is going to be down. So we really need to look at. We're going to have a hard budget next year. And we need to be prepared for it. We're going to have a hard budget because of this, and we all know it. But let's move on to some good stuff. Again, you know how much I love Putnam County. Unfortunately, I hadn't been able to go all over Putnam County like I usually do, other than going out there putting up those aggravating yellow signs that everybody hates. But what I have noticed so much from the people here is you have the three groups, the group that's definitely fearful, not going to go out, the main group that is doing the social distancing, is washing their hands, is trying to follow the rules, you know, slowly phase in here, you know, so that we can get back to going. And then you got the ones that really don't care. They're just going to be grouping there. It's just one of those things we're going to have to deal with. But one of the things I have noticed is people stepping up and really helping their neighbor, not with just these food drives, but in going to the store for their neighbors, because they don't want their neighbors exposed to this. So they're going actually picking up the foods, bringing them back and putting them at the doorstep. And I just love when I hear these stories. These people are the kind of neighbors you want. These are good people. Let's see. One of the things I did notice driving around after we opened the parks, I see people out there and they are social distancing. They're being very careful. I haven't seen anything where we've had the big birthday parties and the things going on. And fishing. I was at the Rodman Dam. I went down there to check it out. And again, they're distanced, but people are getting back to our normal life, getting out there and enjoying themselves. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up about Miss Reagan. None of us are going to get to hold that baby for quite a while, but we can get to see pictures of the baby and that happy mama and daddy. It's just so good to see because they're such a great couple, and it's good to see them with the baby. Let's see. I think that's about the end of my thing. Again, we're very fortunate, and I have to commend you, Chairman. You've been phenomenal. Our staff, even through all this, has been phenomenal in answering any questions that we have. Even when I come in, unfortunately, a little aggravated sometimes with dealing with people and their frustrations, and I try not to carry those on to the people I'm talking to, but obviously sometimes I do. I do wear my feelings on my cuff, and I apologize for that. But with that, I'm so proud to be a part of this commission, even during what we're dealing with, because we're all trying to do what's right, and I enjoy it.
Thank you for Commissioner Goddard for your comments. Commissioner Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see item A. I am seeking board approval to run for second vice president of the Florida Association of Counties. As you know, I currently serve on the board of directors with the association, but I have a deadline of May 15th in order to have this postmarked and request from the board the opportunity to seek a higher office and one day become president of the Florida Association of Counties.
Commissioner Harvey, this commissioner would like nothing more than for you to represent us on that. My only question would be, do you have to resign from your board of directors to run for second vice president?
I do not, sir.
That's wonderful, because I think we need you on whichever post you can get in. So thank you for that.
I actually have to be a board of director with the association in order to run.
I got you. Well, good.
Yeah.
Do you need, what do you need from us to make this work? Do you need a motion from the board, or can you do it by consensus?
I do.
Okay.
I need a motion, and I need your signature on a document.
Okay. Would one of the other members of our board consider making the motion to allow? Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Rawls, and we have a second by Commissioner Pickens to allow me to sign a paper that will allow Commissioner Harvey. Somebody is not muted.
I'm getting feedback, yeah.
Was it you? Yeah, it's always Shug. Sorry, Administrator. So, yes, so we have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Rawls and seconded by Commissioner Pickens that would allow me to sign a document that allows Larry Harvey to run for second vice president of the Florida Association of Counties with our support. Any further discussion? Terry, you need to talk. Okay.
Well, I'd like to. I you know, from time to time, I get to sit here and listen to the accolades of the past. But I want to take the opportunity to pass one out to Commissioner Harvey, Vice Chairman Harvey. I've had the pleasure of working with Commissioner Harvey in D.C. and Tallahassee at local meetings around the state. And I can't think of a better advocate for Putnam County to be on the Florida Association of County Boards than Commissioner Harvey. He serves on the Small County Coalition. Just a ball of energy, and he does nothing but promote Putnam County everywhere he goes. So I'm excited to see this opportunity for Commissioner Harvey, and would have liked to have been the one to have brought it up this morning, but I felt it was prudent for the commissioner to have the comments. But I want to thank the commissioner for their support of Commissioner Harvey this morning.
Okay. Now that he's back muted, maybe we won't get feedback. I totally agree with everything the administrator said, and I don't think we could have anyone finer to represent this commission at the Florida Association of Counties. And you know, I happen to know of a few things that I've heard about that he didn't tell me about, but somebody else did before I told him they couldn't tell me. That they were a conduit that he's working with in Tallahassee on, and I'm going to not toot that horn yet because I know he's still working on them. But that being said, I know that he will represent us well, and thank you. I will be honored to sign that paper, Commissioner Harvey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, and motion carries.
Thank you,
Laura,
Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Would Mr. Commissioner Harvey, would you please get with Laura Parsons and let her know what that letter needs to say or what that paper needs to say, and I'll be honored to sign it.
She has it available, and she'll get it signed immediately. Thank you all very much for the opportunity and the trust that you have in me for doing this. Do want to bring you up to speed. I want to say I'm also very proud of Putnam County. As I ride around, I see social distancing. I see people being respectful of one another, and I'm just proud. I couldn't be more prouder to be from Putnam County, to live here all my life, and to see how we're coming together at this time. Mr. Chairman, I've been contacted by the radio station WIYD about doing a graduation spot. I would be happy to put in some money to allow you or whoever you wanted to do that. Maybe there's other commissioners would like to split that and congratulate our graduates here in Putnam County, but I'll allow you to make that decision, and you can have that talk with Mr. Suggs. Matt and Carrie, congratulations publicly. I want to say thank you so much for that, and for your baby, and looking forward to holding her. Like Commissioner Goddard said, she's an absolute doll, and that picture that Carrie put on Facebook the other day was priceless, of you holding the baby while she was getting some rest. That's a good husband and a good father right there. Gentlemen, I do want to bring to your mind, I mentioned this a couple meetings back, and let you know that the CARES Act provided about $8.3 billion to the state of Florida. There's about $1.275 billion still sitting in Tallahassee. The Florida Association of Counties, the Small County Coalition, and the Florida League of Cities have engaged Speaker former Speaker Dean Cannon to negotiate that money coming back to local communities. It can be used for COVID-related expenses and reimbursements, and can help our economic development in Putnam County with some of our small businesses. So I just want to let you know that we're getting closer to a landing on that, the association and the Florida League of Cities and Small County Coalition, but we haven't got there yet. And I'm looking forward to the time that I can call, we can have a meeting and discuss how we can split up some money, but it hasn't gotten to us yet. So as soon as it does, and as soon as this gets in for a landing, I'm hearing it's gaining a lot of traction right now, moving through the governor's office, and we're looking forward to that. I don't want to share to you what that pot of money would look like, because it's really based on what the governors decides, what kind of formula they would use, but it could be a significant amount of money that could help Putnam County. And Mr. Chairman, those are my comments. Thank you very much again for the trust y'all have in me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Harvey, and it's a well-founded trust. Commissioner Pickens.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just add to Commissioner Harvey. I can't think of a finer person to be able to represent our commission and Putnam County. I know you represent us well, and I've truly enjoyed serving with you the 3.5 years I've been a commissioner is with all of you guys. So Larry, congratulations, and I know you'll do a great job. Matt and Carrie, congratulations. That was a beautiful picture, and she'll be a special child, and I know Dalton will be a great big brother. So I want to thank Jacob for figuring out that my laptop in my office could be used for these meetings. And so hopefully the angle that I'm using today, my double chin, doesn't show as bad as it did last time with my iPad. And so I want to thank him. I want to thank Chairman Turner for his leadership through this and through this year. It's been a unique year. We've all been chairman except Jeff, and Jeff hopefully will be chairman soon. And we've all had our different challenges, but nothing like this one. So I want to commend staff, Administrator Suggs, all the staff, all the employees of the county, Public Works. Welcome, Michael. And I just want to say that the calls that I still have, most of it's Public Works related, and they're taking care of them in a timely manner. And I really appreciate that. All the people out of the EOC and people involved there, just thank you for everything that you're doing. And we need to continue to realize we're not out of the woods yet. We still have a ways to go, but this will pass. I do want to add to what Tim Smith said. Ed Killebrew did step up and accepted that role and is doing a great job with distributing this food with other volunteers. He reached out to me, and I was able to get with the Women's Club and Paula Nichols, Miss Barbara Hersed. And this will be the third Tuesday that they've been able to distribute those pre-cooked meals. Each person would get 4 meals. So we're up to today, they'll probably distribute almost to 100 different people. And those are well deserved. And I appreciate the efforts of Ed Killebrew and that whole staff. I reached out to Travis Roberts to get an update on the Fort Gates Ferry project, and he has not returned my call. Hopefully I'll have more contact with him and be able to update at the next meeting. I did reach out to David Gerard, and he texted me back. David's the one that's working with us at the Georgetown Park to do the surveys and has turned in various information to St. Johns River Water Management to see about permitting and the feasibility of putting a boat ramp in Georgetown. And he has not heard anything recently from St. Johns River Water Management, but he'll reach out to them again today. So hopefully I'll have some more information for the next meeting. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Is there anything to come before the board additional before the workshop this afternoon at 2? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
So we're meeting back at 2 o'clock?
Yes, 2 o'clock.
It will be